My name is Cheryl Morant. I'm the director at Little Discoveries Childcare Limited, and we've got a day nursery based in Yeovil, Somerset.
I'm Naomi Barton. I'm the manager here at Little Discoveries Day Nursery.
Little Discoveries Day Nursery is a small independent childcare setting based in Somerset. We are set in an area of deprivation, where it means our focus on the children is to give them the best possible outcomes. Not only that, it's about thinking about the staff that we have here and giving them the opportunity to develop their own skill sets and up-train, up-skill, so they can be the best possible practitioner that they can be as well. I think the main element that they bring to the business is we work within legal ratios for age-related aspects of the business. So our babies are one member of staff to 3 children, our toddlers are one member of staff to 4 children, and our older children are one member of staff to 8. When we're dealing with children with additional needs, speech and language, working within those ratios is very difficult, so having those extra pairs of hands and eyes around, that's what is best for us with having the trainees in the setting, because they can do that. They can sit with the children and they can read a story whilst the practitioners are doing the other elements, or sitting one-to-one with the child to give them the support that they need. So I think that's the biggest element to having a trainee or an apprentice with us, we found.
It's the nurturing side as well, isn't it? Because they come in and they get to play, they build those relationships, and that's really helpful for us, because some children take to other people quickly, and when they're friendly and they're fun and they're playing, it makes the day-to-day run much smoother. So they get the fun jobs, you know, like exploring play, sensory play, messy play, all of those kind of things.
As a practitioner, you're sort of having to engage in doing a lot of observational work, report writing, things like that. So again, to have that apprentice or that trainee there that are learning the roots, and I think the main thing to learn at the beginning is how to play with children, you know, how to build a relationship, because until you've built a relationship and trust with a child or children, that child cannot develop beyond that. So it's so important that that is in place, and it allows us to be able to do that across the setting.
Mm-hmm.
So Somerset Skills and Learning have been really supportive over the last 7 years. We have a really good relationship with the team in the Yeovil office.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to recruiting, we speak to the Bridgewater team, and they're able to sort of link us up with potential trainees or apprentices, depending on what our needs are. And meet with them, and you know, we can make our selections on the right practitioners or potential practitioners at that point. Ongoing through the training process, we have regular meetings. The tutors will come in here, meet with yourself where they need, and sort of go over where the students are with their learning, what they need to do, any areas that they're struggling in or excelling in. So yeah, it's very supportive. We get to keep up to date with the learning processes as well, what's new out there. So yeah, it's a good team partnership in that sense.
For me, with Somerset Skills and Learning, if I was to need to know where somebody is at, I can email. They're very good at email. This is their plan, this is their criteria, this is what they're working on. The same as if I pick up a phone and say, you know, what are we working towards now? Okay, I'm coming out for this observation, so I can give the team the information that they're looking for, but also the apprentice, making sure they've got what they need to be observed, because there's nothing more overwhelming than again not having the information. So it's a unit, isn't it? You can support them from all angles of their learning. For me, when a trainee is with us on the floor and just getting to grips with things, understanding the day-to-day routine, it's story reading, it's song time, it's joining play, it's having fun. You know, I might say to them, oh, could you just carry out that messy activity that includes painting, or mixing paint is always a key thing, and just testing them a little bit, how they cope with that, how do they make sense of that, do they ask for help, do they clarify things, but also just that spare pair of hands. You know, when you're with a group of 8 to 10 children, putting on coats, using the sense that, okay, we're going outside, they might want wellies on, let's switch them over. Again, I'm quite keen on when I'm doing things, I explain to them why I'm doing it, because knowledge is power. You know, they take that on board. The next time they can then wow with, oh, you're doing that because of this, I will do that. And it's just giving them the life skills in a day-to-day running of the nursery. So, yeah.
For our apprentices, it's still very much that, especially in their first few weeks. But then they're chomping at the bit to change nappies and do all sorts of things. But it's a case of actually we need to take them through those processes slowly and correctly. So I could say to an apprentice, okay, that's fine, go off and change a nappy, but they won't necessarily do it the correct way. There is ways to be taught to do that, so they have to be shadowing especially with nappy changing, it's very much a personal thing, so it's about that engagement with the child as well at that time. So it's not just the practical change of a nappy, it's about how you're going to engage with that child. That's that one-to-one time, which is quite unusual to get in a busy setting. So, you know, we sort of ease them in. They are not key workers or even shadow key workers for probably about the first 6 months. We're looking at some just allowing them to explore an area, maybe moving them around from one area after 3 months into another age band, so they're getting that across the setting experiences, and then we can start building them up into more responsible tasks, like, okay, why don't you sit and write down what this child is doing. That would be the basis of your observation writing, which is important because that will go on to report writing, that will go on to the parents, it will go on to schools, it could go on to an external professional. We would allow them to shadow key work as well, so they might be jointly responsible for 1 or 2 children, so that is a next step up for them.
And when every apprentice starts with us, we have what we call a competency pack, so it's our role broken down into different sections, and it's our way of visually supporting them. So we talk them through the process, and then we would teach and then observe, and then they would do it by themselves. And I feel that's important, so that they're not thrown into something. They've had the method given to them. We then go through it a couple of times. Nappy changing, I'm quite big on a few times before we say, okay, you're fine to do that. But everyone then works through the competencies. They know where they are at, we know where they are at, and they're getting all the information needed to be able to do that task, rather than just walking through a door and saying, change that nappy for me, do that for me.
And I think some tasks can be quite daunting, so if you're, as an apprentice, expected quite early on to go and speak to a parent about how a child's day's been, even if it's been, you know, absolutely fine, there's been no issues in the day, that can be very, very daunting for them. So you have to prep them for that. So it's not a case of, right, okay, there's that job, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We do food hygiene training with the staff quite early on as well in their apprenticeship, so they're able to help out in the kitchen, and that could be anything from washing up, which again, something you do, something I would step in and do. You know, cleaning down the kitchen at the end of a meal, at the end of the day, and also cooking the meal, preparing snacks, all sorts of things. So yeah, we're very valued, but we sort of take them through step-by-step processes. I'd say definitely you need to try it if you haven't done it before. Go in slowly, take on a trainee to start with, and then build up to looking at apprenticeships. It's definitely beneficial, as you can hear from what we've said so far. We're really, really pleased with all the apprentices that we've had and the outcomes. So we have a team of 11 here, and 5 have already gone through the apprenticeship route with us, or are just finishing off now. So it makes good financial sense for a business, it makes good practical sense for the business, and it is the one way to give you the right type of practitioners for you.
For me personally, when you're then moulding who is on your team, you're giving them the little discoveries way, in our sense, so you don't have to take on a new employee and put all of that in, embed all of that. They come from learning from day one. They've got your way of doing things in place, and then you just mould them and make them into the practitioners that you want them to be. So I think it's very beneficial.
I think one of the main key things that we say to the staff team, the qualified practitioners, is remember to invest in these girls and boys, because actually you'll be working with them potentially in 2 years' time. So what you put in now will make life easier for you when they're qualified.
Yeah, they will be who you make them.
Yeah. So sometimes there is some challenges, as there is with employing anybody. You know, generally the apprentices are younger people, so they haven't got all that life experience or those life skill sets, so you find yourself teaching those as well along the line. So it's not just about childcare, it's about every element. You know, we have people come in that have never cooked for themselves, and then they're coming in and having to cook for 25, 26, 27 children suddenly. So, you know, there are challenges along the way, but you work through those, and that's what it's about, is that we're investing in them, so we're not going to give up. We'll sit down with them and we'll talk to them about where we need to work on practice or just on general life skills, and then they'll go away, think about that, work on those, and, you know, it comes out beneficial for everybody.
It's the reward as well. You know, you see them from day one, and then you see them again at qualified. So for me, working on the floor with them and as their manager, you have got them there. We've gone over tricky situations. We've gone through, I'm not doing this anymore. This is too hard. We've gone to, you know, that was fantastic this week. We've really, really done well. And then to see them stood at the end of their qualification with the "I told you I could do it" face is the most rewarding feeling, because then they are part of your team, and they've worked hard to get there. So it is tricky. You know, the qualification itself is difficult. Writing assessments, assignments can be hard, but you have a team around you that have already done it, that are there ready to support you, that can give you all of that information. It's just using it.
A lot of them are coming from a school environment where everything is taught, going into independent learning. So again, that's a new challenge for them. We have to sort of stand back and not do anything for them. It's like, we're here, we are your biggest resource, use us. But I think what Naomi's done is summarising not what just what it is with the children and the reward for working with the children, but it's the reward for working with apprentices, trainees, and practitioners as well. You take them from the grassroots through to their qualification, and that person that discovers what we do. It's not just about the childcare, it's about the staff development, and that's what gives us our rewards at the end of it.